Hi everybody, my name's Paul. I'm a nerd, and you're lucky enough to be here for the Tabs3 virtual user group meeting for April of 2019, where today we are talking about reprinting and undoing multiples. Everybody knows you can reprint a statement, you can undo an updated statement, but not a lot of people know you can do that in batches. Mary Jo is going to show us how to do that. And I'm going to talk about that mysterious thing called client funds that sometimes people mix up with trust accounting, and I'm going to tell you how they're different and how to use them. And so that's that. Without much further ado, I'm going to hit the magic buttons, not that one. I'm going to hit the magic buttons to get me to, now I'm going to have to remember what the magic buttons are. And the magic buttons that get us out of here and get us back to a point where we can look at tabs. And Mary Jo can show us the reprinting and undoing of multiples. We will give you control, Mary Jo.
Forgot to do that. Okay, so like Paul said, a lot of people know that we can go in and we can undo or reprint a single statement, but if we want to do multiple statements, a lot of times we don't know that that's even available to do, and why would we want to? So I'm going to go over to all actions for a moment, because if we go over to the statements prep tab, sorry, I'm moving around here. Well, I guess it was on the statements tab, I apologize. On the statements tab, we do have the undo single updated statement, and the undo multiple is right next to it now, where that never used to be there like this. You only ever saw the undo single updated. So if you haven't updated to version 19 yet, you may not even have known that existed at all. I'm going to scroll down just a little bit because I'm guessing that reprint is also down here, and they do have the reprint single and the reprint multiple. Now, if you don't have this dashboard view like we have the new view in version 19, you still can go up to the top and go under statements, and I'm clicking, there we go, and go to undo updated statement and still get to the multiple from there or the reprint multiple from there. It was always kind of hidden back behind there. So you can do that now either on the menu up at the top, statements, undo, and then go to single or multiple there, or you can search for it over in your search bar behind here and just search in there, reprint multiple. Or undo single, undo multiple. So this is reasons why maybe you need to do that. Let's talk about reprint first. Maybe you've done statements for multiple matters for a client, and you want to then later reprint that statement. Well, if you do a single statement, you're just going to get each matter individually. But if we go into our reprint multiples and click on that, we can do a date range. This is a statement date. So whatever the statement date was that we had used for that particular client. And we could do the whole range of clients here. So I could do matter 0000 to 001 or whatever. So like Michael Larson here has 3 matters. I can pick those matter ranges and print the statements for all of his matters at once for that specified date range. You also can choose for each timekeeper, and you can print the statements when you reprint as the PDFs as individual statements. Something else that's in here that's nice is this print statement run totals. So at the bottom of this statement run total, the last page that kicks out after all the statements run, that shows you the total amount, the total hours that were billed in that date range. So that's something else that's helpful for reprinting. Let's say that I wanted to know what was the dollar value of everything that I billed for the month of March of this year. I could put in March 1st through March 31st here, leave the client range blank, and I can run this and then just preview it because I don't want to print all those statements again. But then I can just print the last page and get that total amount that I had billed in that time frame that I specified and the total number of hours that were billed. Now, it does not break it down by timekeeper. It doesn't get fancy, but if you just need a figure very quickly, how much did we bill in the month of March? What was the dollar figure that we billed? You can get that. Now, if I were to do it by a specific primary timekeeper, I just want to get all of the time that was included on clients that had a primary timekeeper of 1. I could get the total that was billed for a certain primary. Now I can't get working, okay, but I can get primary, secondary, or originating. So again, a little bit helpful for you if you want to print ranges, client or multiple clients even. You know, whatever that is that you need, you can go in here and you can specify that criteria for the reprinting. Now undoing is the same thing. So if I had went in and I wanted to undo an updated statement, now again, we don't want to undo updated statements if we can help it. That's not something that we want to make a habit of. We don't want to just go in, oh yeah, something's on here, I'm just going to undo it. We want to try to, you know, avoid that if possible, especially if you're integrating with our general ledger, because that can just cause different issues that you're unallocating things and reallocating them. And if you change dates, it can just make a mess. So we want to be careful with this. But we do understand there are times that we do need to undo a statement, and sometimes we have to do the same thing. Maybe we originally billed, you know, 20 or 50 or 100 matters all on one statement, and especially like if you combine statements, that was all one statement and you were going to do that. So we want to be able to include all of those matters that we need to fix and we need to undo if we need to keep that same statement number and so on to redo it. If you just need to fix one matter, you can certainly just undo the one matter and fix it and be done. But this screen looks very similar. You'll come in here and again, we're going to pick the statement date. We do have to have the exact statement date that we want to undo because there, you know, a client could have multiple statement numbers. So we have to be specific, or statements that are run on different dates, I should say. So we want to make sure that we get the specific statement date that we want to undo. And then we would pick our client range again, or our timekeeper range again. Maybe you went in and you accidentally updated statements for a primary timekeeper and you really didn't mean to. You were, you know, supposed to do just one timekeeper and a whole batch got done or something like that. This would be an instance where you'd want to go in and undo those until you can specify which ones you actually wanted to final. So you could pick that statement date that you ran those. You could pick a range or not, a timekeeper or not, and say, okay, and that will undo that multiple batch for you all at once. So rather than picking through each one of those matters and undoing, you can do it in a batch group and get it done very quickly. Paul?
Thank you, Mary Jo. One thing I'll point out is that when you were talking about reprinting multiples, you were talking about a specific period, like a month. But another way that people use this a lot is to do a particular client or a particular matter and do all of them from the beginning of time until now. That's
if you want to reprint a group of statements. That's
exactly.
true.
Every statement that was ever printed for this matter.
That is a common request. You're right. They want to get everything that's been billed and you know, a client needs the whole history. That's a great way to do that too. Yep, absolutely.
Awesome. So I'm going to talk about client funds. And client funds, there's always a little bit of confusion about these because client funds are a lot like trust accounting. And so people think to themselves, well, what's the difference between client funds and trust accounting? Really very little, except that with trust accounting, the money's going into the trust account. Client gives you $5,000, you put it into the trust account, it stays over there. With client funds, at least the way it was originally intended, the money is going into your operating account. So these are like non-refundable retainers, or retainers where the agreement is that you will put that retainer money into your operating account right away and not treat it as trust money. Other than that, they're really quite similar. If I go down to client funds, which of course you can get to simply by typing client funds up here and getting it that way. Or you can pin it, or you will see it in your recent actions if it's something you've just done. A lot like entering a trust transaction. Let's say we're doing this for Michael Larson's ADA employment issue, and we're going to use what the system thinks to be today's date, which is 11/17/14. And I have several different types of transactions that I can enter. I have payments to the firm or credit card transactions, which would, payments to the firm or withdrawals. In other words, you're paying for legal services, or you are withdrawing money by writing a check to an expert witness or to somebody else that's related to a matter, or by depositing money in either as cash or a check that comes in, or by using the credit card function to process a credit card. If we do enter payments to firm, we do have the ability to let that sit as a WIP payment that we can then do whatever we might need to, or to instantly say, oh no, just apply this to advances. This money is being entered in the client funds, and then it will later be automatically applied to advances only, as opposed to expenses or fees or all. And so basically, you're doing the same thing that you would be doing in trust accounting. You are writing checks or transferring money to the firm to pay for legal services, or you are depositing money that you have received from the client, either in cash or check form, or using the credit card function to process a credit card at the same time to put that money into trust. Of course, that relies on your having the ProPay interface, which of course can distinguish between the fees that it's charging and not ever take any fees out of your trust account. That's why it's important to have that integration. If you're doing credit cards, you want the money to go into the trust account, but if there's any fees associated with that, you want them to come out of your operating account. Oh, this is client funds. Thank you. Mary Jo's telling me that I'm getting the two confused also. So transactions, pretty much the same. I'm going to take you into the client information screen, and we're going to pull up that same client, that Michael Larson's ADA employment issue. And we're going to go over to the AR and fund balances, and this is where you define client funds. So let's say a client gives you, let's say a $5,000 retainer, but it's a non-refundable retainer, so you're going to put it right in your operating account. That's what client funds is for. And then this will determine how you're going to show the transactions that are applied against that client funds money on your statement, much like you would show trust integration on a statement. You can show the summary mode, which just says your trust account balance is so much. Here you can have it show your client funds or your retainer balance is so much. A detail mode, which is going to show the transactions plus the opening and closing balance, or maybe you don't want anything to show on the statement relating to the retainer or the client funds. You can identify it as being a one-time retainer, and you can have the system automatically apply the retainer funds against what you're billing. The most common use of this is probably automatic all, meaning that we turn it to automatic all. We've put this $5,000 in, and now every time we print a bill, it's just going to automatically pay the balance using the client funds money until that money is exhausted, and then it's gone. You can also say automatic fee, cost, expense, or advance. Fee being, of course, fees. Cost being a combination of both expenses and advances, so whatever expenses and advances are billed on that statement would be paid automatically. Or you can simply, zero right in and say only expenses should be paid automatically, only advances should be paid automatically. Or you can just leave it at manual, and the only way to actually have client funds apply against the statement is to make one of those payment to firm manual transactions that would be in the screen that I showed you just prior. That's client funds. Now, we have some clients that just have tabs, and they kind of use this as a kind of a modified trust accounting. And you can go into the integration and determine where things go when those payments are made, and where the client funds, how the client funds is being applied. So you do have the ability to say, this is the operating account that these funds should go into when the payment is made. And you could conceivably make that be the trust account, but it's really intended for non-trust related transactions where the money is intended to go straight into the operating account. And that is that. And I'm glad I'm going to play it off like I meant to confuse trust and retainer, because we do get at that a lot. People just don't understand the difference between the client funds and the trust. So hopefully that's a little clearer now. Next month, speaking of trust, Mary Jo is going to talk about three-way trust reconciliations, which is, I believe, a relatively new report that's been added to Tabs. And I'm going to talk about pre-bill tracking. We've talked about it before. There have been a few changes made recently, and we're just going to give a refresher on that and make sure everybody's on the same page. And of course, as everybody knows, let me get out of here. It just wouldn't be one of our live events if I didn't take you into our website to show you how to get to this content when you need it later. And if you go to attorneycomputersystems.com, Notice my emphasis on that last S in the word systems, because without it, you won't get to the right place. If you then hover over or click on the word videos, if you hover, you get a little list that pops up right away, but I'm going to click on it, and it's going to take me to a new page that, I don't think I clicked. Let's try this again. It's going to take me to a new page that lists all our video content. There we go. We have 4 live events. You're at one of them, Tabs3 Virtual User Group Meeting. We also have virtual user group meetings for Practice Master and World Docs. And I have my Coffee Pot webinars. You, of course, know what a virtual user group meeting is because you're here now. Our Coffee Pot webinars are where I bring in somebody from another company that has a product that adds value or enhances the value of Tabs, Practice Master, or World Docs, our 3 core products. And we let them talk about their company, talk about their product. Usually they'll give us pricing information and they'll answer questions. So that's a great way to see other things that are out there for use with Tabs and Practice Master and World Docs. We also have our pre-recorded video titles. Mary Jo has her eBites video series. These are short little 2 or 3 minute snippets, if you will. We take a really cool feature that we can explain pretty quickly, and Mary Jo does an eBite about it. We record, or she records 3 of these each month, 1 on Tabs, 1 on Practice Master, 1 on World Docs. Then for things that take a little longer to explain, we have our Paul and Mary Jo show, where either I or Mary Jo will take a topic that's a little deeper and a little broader in nature and takes a little bit more time to dig into. And we will spend 10, 15, sometimes 20 minutes going into the very intricacies of whatever it is that we happen to be talking about at that time. Now, if you'll click on any of these, I'm going to go to a live event just so you can see how that varies. You will get a little more information. Of course, you'll still get the title of the event and a very brief description of, in this instance, what a Tabs3 Virtual User Group Meeting is. And then since it's a live event, we'll have information on the next scheduled event, which is second to last week in May because we've got Memorial Day. And you'll have a complete description of what that live event entails and a place to fill in your details and register right then and there. I will tell you right now, even if you know that you won't be there at that time, but you still have an interest in whatever the topic is, go ahead and register. We don't care that you register and you know you're not going to be there. This is a good way to get Patty to email you the very minute the finished video is out and on the website. So go ahead and register anyways, and even though you're not attending, you'll still get that notification instantly when that video is available. And if you'll scroll down, then what you'll find is recorded versions of everything else we ever did in this particular title, this being the Tabs3 Virtual User Group Meetings. Of course, this is the one that's currently in post-production because it's this meeting right now. But as we scroll down, we have recordings and videos of everything else we've done. We literally have somewhere between 800 and 900 videos on our website. We add about 9 or 10 of them every month. So there's a lot of content out here. It's entirely free of charge. It's always there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Please take advantage of it and use it. It's there for you. Everybody have a good rest of the day, good rest of the week, good rest of the month. We will see you in May. Bye-bye.